They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast in the oven, shall he not much more clothe you? Much more clothe you.
Okay, this is May 6th. Today we're working on cleaning all of the ceiling so that we can put spray foam in hopefully tomorrow when the temperature is warm enough. Apparently you want to do that above 60 degrees, and today was about 65, so you want to get a little closer to what it's asking for. I might also have to patch this hole tonight, which I may or may not. I don't know. We'll see what we're going to do with that. It's a hole for the chimney. Alright, we're going to be listening to some Akira the Dawn live stream.
Proper interpretation. Because there's a kicker with this. And the kicker is this. For your heavenly Father knows you have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. O ye of little faith. Idea here. It's certainly one of the most profound ideas that I've ever encountered. If you configure your life so that what you are genuinely doing is aiming at the highest possible good, then the things that you need to survive and to thrive on a day-to-day basis will deliver themselves to you. If you dare to do the most difficult thing that you can conceptualize, your life will work out better than it will if you do anything else. Well, how are you going to find out if that's true? There's no way you're going to find out whether or not that's true unless you do it. You have to be all in this game. All in this game. All in. All in. Are you a little afraid? Are you a little afraid? Are you a little afraid? Go into your imagination. and wonder. And the reason for that is that the unknown shines through the mass in partially articulated form. Well, that's the role of art. And that's the role of artists. Well, that's the role of art. And that's the role of artists. Real artists are contending with the unknown, right? And they're possessed by it. They have a personality trait, openness, that makes them do that. They can't even help it. Makes them do that. They can't even help it. The worst thing for creative people is to not be creative because they just die. So one of the things I would say is buy a damn piece of art. You know? Find one that really speaks to you and look out if you do it. If it's a real piece of art, because you'll also get a little introduction to the artist and then that'll seep into your life and that'll change things like mad. But it's unbelievably worth it because it opens your eyes to the domain of the transcendent. That's the right way of thinking about it. A real piece of art is a window into the transcendent. That's what it is in the absence of the sublime. You can see that integral to our culture is the idea that beauty is one pathway towards God. And if you can't find another pathway, then why don't you use beauty? I'm sure most of you do that with music. Because music is the one thing that modern people can't be cynical about. Thank God for that. And so we need to understand the role of art and literature and stop thinking about it as an option. It's not an option. It's not an option. What does it say? Man does not live by bread alone. That's exactly right. We live by beauty. We live by literature. We live by art. And literally, not metaphorically. We cannot live without it because life is too dismal and tragic. The role of artists. Well, that's the role of art. And that's the role of artists. Real artists are contending with the unknown, right? And they're possessed by it. They have a personality trait, openness, that makes them do that. They can't even help it. Makes them do that. They can't even help it.
Another way of talking about the web is that there are different levels of magnification. For example, supposing you take a piece of embroidery, and here it is, obviously in front of you, ordered a beautiful object. Then you take out a microscope, and you look at the individual threads. At a certain point, as you turn up the microscope, doesn't make any sense at all. The wrapped fiber that constitutes the thread is a mess. Hasn't been organized, nobody did anything about it. But at the level of magnification at which you actually see it with the naked eye, it's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. Right, now keep turning up that microscope. Take one of those individual threads in the fiber that seems to be so chaotic and go into the constitution of that. And again you will find fantastic order. You'll find the most gorgeous designs of molecules. Then keep turning it up, and again at a certain level you'll find chaos again. Alright, keep going, and at another level you will find this marvelous order. Now you see, order and randomness constitute, in other words, the warp and the woof. Where everything is in order, everything's under control. In randomness, it's all been organized. It's a mess. 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 But we wouldn't know what order was unless we had messes. It's the contrast of order and message that order itself depends upon. And so in exactly the same way, it is the contrast of on and off, there and not there. In other words, life and death, being and non-being, that constitutes existence. Only we pretend that the random side of things, the disorderly side of things, could possibly win in the game of competition, or I would rather call it collaboration between the two. When you lose sight of the fact that the order principle and the random principle go together, that's exactly the same predicament as losing sight of the fact that all individually delineated things and beings are connected underneath. You know, just like mountains stick out of the earth and there's the fundamental earth underneath them, so all of us as different things, we stick out of reality and there's a continuity underneath, but you ignore that. See, that's the thing that's left out. It's all been organized. It's a mess. 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 See, I'm just giving you many examples of the same principle. We've discussed the web from 3 points of view. As an analogy of the selective operation of our senses and mind, whereby certain things in the world are picked out as significant according to certain game rules. The game that we are playing mostly is the survival game. That is to say, the game ought to go on. Only the way we play the survival game has a kind of element in it which makes it difficult, because we tend to say the first rule of this game is that it's serious. And that messes the whole thing up. So you have to watch out, in other words, when you play, for contradictory game rules, self-contradictory game rules. Because if you get mixed up into them, the game ceases to be worth the candle. You start training at doing something, then it just isn't worth it. Then the second thing that we observed was the web as an analogy of mutual interdependence. We could call it the idea that all existence is relative, that all existence is transaction. The transaction being typically exemplified by, say, the operation of buying and selling, in which there can be no buying without somebody selling, and there can be no selling without somebody else buying. That kind of interdependence, of the inside going together with the outside. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. We explored the web as a trap. The spider's web. Won't you come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. And we saw what should look at all of life from the point of view that it is original selfishness, original hunger. And we found that if you take that point of view to its ultimate extreme, it dissolves. And it isn't so bad after all. Shakespeare says, it is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. When it's put that way, it doesn't seem so bad after all. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. I remember that I had a Zen master friend who wrote a letter to a friend of mine which was passed on to me. This friend of mine was aspiring to be a writer, and he was trying to write novels that would put across Buddhism to people. Sugar the pill. And my Zen master friend didn't approve of this at all. He said, don't write any story to people. Write it to the great sky. Because all the real masters of literature, especially novelists and storytellers, are great masters of nonsense. Think of Lewis Carroll. You can use Lewis Carroll, and he did use Alice in Wonderland as a Zen textbook. It was brilliant in the fluted tones, the gyre and gimble and the wave. That's Zen. I had a discussion with a great master in Japan. We were talking about the various people who are working to translate the Zen books into English. He said, that's a waste of time. If you really understand Zen, he said, you can use any book. You could use the Bible. You could use Alice in Wonderland. You could use the dictionary. Because, he said, the sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. see, that's the point. And all the talk in the world doesn't get it unless you listen to the talk in a new way. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation.
Back in the day, there was a really famous basketball college team, Renovation. They were winning college basketball games like 147 or 132. They were just run and shoot. They just pushed it. But every time I think about that team, it's how I think about my life and how I think about myself as an entrepreneur. Offense. Because once you stop hearing judgment and you're not actually worried about what people have to say, you can just go fast. You start doing shit. People try to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. Out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense. People try to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. Out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense. You know how many of you have a real passion for some shit that isn't cool right now, and so you're just not doing it? Yet it's exactly the right thing? The amount of friends I had back in the day that loved video games but got off of it because they didn't see a career for it, who now regret at 40 because they were fucking great at it, and they could be the Tony Hawk of esports right now. They could have been that OG, but they just didn't see it because they worried about judgment and they didn't realize the world evolved. Like when I was 6, I wanted to watch people's cars. When it's snow days here, I was shoveling snow, not making snowmen. If you see what I'm doing garage sale around here in Jersey, like, I'm not doing that for show, I fucking love it. See, I got real lucky. The luckiest shit on earth is the thing you love, is the thing that you're best at. We're trying to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. Out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense. People try to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. Out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense. People try to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. I'm out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense. People try to win like the night before Knicks, 79 to 76. I'm out here trying to win 149 to 146. Offense.
strings on a harp. And the harps that the angels are supposed to play in heaven are really this huge possibility. So when you play the harp, you select strings. You don't play all the strings. It's stupid to just run your finger along the whole edge of the harp, back and forth, back and forth. What you do is you pick out with your fingers, select just like on the piano, you pick out certain notes, and these make the patterns. is all there, constituting a fundamental continuity, the kind of continuity of the thread as they go to the back of the woven material, make up the obverse of the pattern that's on the front. Now, the question that is absolutely basic for all human beings is, what have you left out? What have you left out? What have you left out? Really? You are focused on certain things that constitute what you call everyday reality. Look, you single out people, and you see them sitting all around. Sitting all around. And you know there are things that are really there. And then behind the people are the houses or whatever we live in, the earth, and behind all that the sky, and so on. But we see the world as a collection of rather disjointed events and things. And I might say to you as you came in here today, now, my goodness, you all forgot something. What did you forget? And you think, my goodness, did I put my pants on? Did I wear a sweater? Did I put my glasses and my hair on? Or my wig? No, it's not that. There's something you forgot. I'm just me. No, don't give me that. I don't want to hear all that nonsense. You're playing a trick on me. Really, deep down, who are you? I don't know. Well, that's the thing to find out. That's the thing that's been forgotten. See, that's the underside of the tapestry, the thing that's been left out. Because what we are carefully taught to ignore is that every one of us, fundamentally, deep inside, is an act of, a function of, a performance of, a manifestation of the works. The whole blinking cosmos, with all its galaxies, and forever and ever and ever, whatever it is beyond that, what you might call God in the Western tradition, or Brahma in Hindu philosophy, or Tao in Chinese. Every one of us is really that, but we are pretending we aren't. And we're pretending with tremendous skill and deception. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you really? great. Well, ask God, maybe He'll give it to you. And the theologian will tell you, yes, God gives His grace freely. He gives it to all because He loves all. It's here like the air. All you have to do is receive it. Or a more orthodox, a Catholic Christian would say, all you have to do is to be baptized, to take the Holy Sacrament of the altar of bread and wine, on your Son of Christ, and there is the grace right there. And it's given by these simple physical means, so it's very easily and readily used. Well, a lot of people not that time. And it doesn't always speak. People call out for grace. Why is it? You see, we're just talking about the same old problem. But we put it a step up. But it's the same problem. How can I improve myself? What's the first problem? The second problem is, you want grace. You want grace. You want grace. You want grace. How can I accept grace? They're both the same problem. Because you've got to make a move. Which will put yourself out of your own control into the control of a better. If you don't believe in the Christian kind of a God, you can believe in the Hindu kind of a God, who is your inner self. You see, you've got a lower self, which you can call your ego. That's that little scoundrel of self. Always out for me. But behind the ego, there is the Atman, the inner self, the inward life, as Quakers would call it, the real self, the spirit, which is substantially identical with God. So you've got to meditate in such a way that you identify with your higher self. How do you do that? Well, you start by watching all your thoughts very carefully, watching your feelings, watching your emotions, so that you begin to build up a sense of separation between the watcher and what is watched. You want grace. You want grace. You want grace. You want grace. However, as we are selfish, waste my money. That's, you see, on the side of the not respectable, the selfish. But so also, all humane people should admit that they're jokers, that they're playing games, they're playing tricks, that I am doing it on you. I am most ready to admit this. I hope you all are coming here to tell you what. It was a trap, you see, but I'm going to make it an entertaining trap, so that you won't feel so badly about it. Now, this is philosophy, but I think philosophy is like music. You go to a concert and you listen to somebody play Bach, or Mozart, or Beethoven. And what's all that about? It isn't about anything except that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And so, in the same way, as I perceive my work as a philosopher, I'm simply pointing out that existence is the same kind of a thing as the park invention. It's going this way and that way, and hills and waters going all out there, and the fish are going around in it and breeding, and the ducks are... And that's the same thing as admit that's what it's all about. You have a little problem. Because it's not only the threat that it really might be serious and that you shouldn't be laughing about it, but there's also a kind of opposite. Then are you saying it's merely just filling out? Are you saying it's only a game? Is that all there is to it? Well, what do you think? This again is a trick question. But everybody has to think things through. What did you want? Didn't you want a game? Did you want it to be serious again? I mean, think about the question. What kind of a thing would you like God to be? What would you like to do for eternity? That's what it's about. exploring the theme of the web of life, I have thus far discussed two principal topics. First, the web considered as selectivity, experience considered as what we pay attention to on the one hand and what we ignore on the other. And I showed how the way in which we pay attention to the world creates, isolates what we call particular things, events, and persons, and they seem to be disconnected and to be alone because we ignore the connection between them. And I used the analogy of weaving where the threads go underneath and join on the back, so that it's just not seen on the front. So you might say in the unconscious, although I don't particularly like that word, because it makes it seem as if it was something rather dead. But on the unconscious side of life, as on the back of the weaving or the back of the embroidery, there are connections which are not published. 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 Now, in the second part of this evening was the web as mutuality. When I discussed the way the existence of a web, the existence of cloth, or anything like that, depends on a mutual support of the warp and woof. And this miraculous thing occurs that when the things support each other, being comes into being, cloth comes into being. And so in exactly the same way, our world is a manifestation of relativity. And this requires a balance, combination, a relationship of opposites in every domain of life. And although these opposites are explicitly different and even antagonistic, they are implicitly one. Implicitly one. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret. See, there's these two secrets that we went into. The connection between what are supposed to be separate things and events, and the mutual unity between what are manifestly, that is to say, openly, for purposes of publication, opposites. Now, I'm going to take two other aspects of the web. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret.
I've been free to do whatever I want, to make the shows I want, anywhere I want, the Zoom I want, in any style I want. So at first I don't know any other way, and by now I won't have it any other way. Life is good. Why settle for less? bad meal, you know, if you don't risk the bad meal, you'll never get the magical one. But I think most people want to be humble, be grateful, 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 be humble, be grateful. Before I started traveling, I thought that the human race as a whole would turn on itself at any moment, you know, venal, petty, cruel, arbitrary. And it's true that all of those things exist in this world, but I meet mostly pretty nice people doing the best they can, often under very, very difficult conditions. I met a lot of very nice people who've done very, very bad things that conflict with my deeply held conceptions of justice, sexual equality, or acceptable practice, or religious views. There are a lot of gray areas in travel. But I think that on balance, the world is filled with people doing the best they can, you know? Best they can, you know? Be humble, be grateful, 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 be humble, be grateful. I've been fired many times in my cooking career. I was not a particularly good chef. I had a lot of problems at various points in my career. I accepted failure as a chef because I was at various times a bad chef, or even a bad person. And these days, if I fail, it's because I tried to do something and did not succeed, or I just was not able to do what I hoped to do or wanted to do. But I would much rather that. I would much rather fail gloriously than not try. So I'm not interested in telling stories with confidence. I'm looking to tell them with some style and originality and some creativity. Is that the old fascination disappears, an echo remains, and the old fascination disappears, an echo remains, the old fascination disappears, an echo remains, and you have, as it were, the vestige of mythology. Part of our present age is to recreate the mythology for today, on which people will live, on which the society will grow. It is being done. It's being done well. People aren't always looking in the right place for it, but it is taking shape. Our great artists, our great poets, our great scientists, Erwin Schrödinger's little book, My View of the World. This is a vision of a poet and of a first-rate physical time, and it has the same song in it that one reads and hears in the old Upanishads. And then they say the great prophets, nature is still ours. If not, it is only here. Nature is still to that is the social situation. Now in our society, the social problem is turned over largely to the police and to Congress. It's a purely practical matter. However, the creatures that constitute the society, these are today the neighbor. They really are. The idea of a personal God living somehow somewhere else out there. There is no out there anymore. There's no more up there. It's awfully difficult to validate. But it seems to me if one's looking for the personality of God, it's right here in the multitudinous personalities of those around us. Nature is still ours. It is in us, it is in the universe. Nature is still ours. It is in us, it is in the universe. Everything I find in the poets, in the scientists, who push through to this mystery, points not to the animals as our neighbors, not to the plants, not to the planet, but to the other one, the thou, who you face, who's not the thou you would want him to be. He's other. And it's a recognition of otherness that is absolutely basic and necessary. Now this doesn't mean that you have to give up your otherness in recognition of him. There may darn well be collision. But it's got to be collision with reverence and respect.
Beauty is so valuable and we're so afraid of it. Beauty is so valuable and we're so afraid of it. Beauty is so valuable and we're so afraid of it. Beauty is so valuable and we're so afraid of it. Beauty is so valuable and we're so afraid of it.
Congratulations. The 10th graduating class of 2005.
There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way. He nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?" What the hell is water? What the hell is water? This is a standard requirement of U.S. commencement speeches, the deployment of didactic little parable-ish stories. The story thing turns out to be one of the better, less bullshitty conventions of the genre. But if you're worried that I plan to present myself here as the wise older fish explaining what water is to you younger fish, please don't be. I am not the wise old fish. The point of the fish story is merely that the most obvious, important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. Stated as an English sentence, of course, this is just a banal platitude. But the fact is that in the day-to-day trenches of adult existence, banal platitudes can have a life or death importance. Or so I wish to suggest to you on this dry and lovely morning. What the hell is water? 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 Of course, the main requirement of speeches like this is that I'm supposed to talk about your liberal arts education's meaning. To try to explain why the degree you're about to receive has actual human value instead of just a material payoff. So let's talk about the single most pervasive cliche in the commencement speech genre, which is that a liberal arts education is not so much about filling you up with knowledge as it is about, quote, teaching you how to think. If you're like me as a student, you've never liked hearing this, and you tend to feel a bit insulted by the claim that you've needed anybody to teach you how to think. Since the fact that you even got admitted to a college this good seems like proof that you already know how to think. But I'm going to posit to you that the liberal arts cliche turns out not to be insulting at all. Because the really significant education in thinking that we're supposed to get in a place like this isn't really about the capacity to think, but rather about the choice of what to think about. If your total freedom of choice regarding what to think about seems too obvious to waste time discussing, I'd ask you to think about fish and water and to bracket for just a few minutes your skepticism about the value of the totally obvious. What the hell is water? 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 What the hell is water?
For reality. Some of these things you can say, hey, I've heard about those. First you must accept the frame, at least as a filter, that could be a subjective reality and that you can manipulate it. You should accept that systems work better than goals. People are telling me every day that they implemented systems and it changed their life. This is one of the biggest buttons on the interface for life. If you don't like where you are and you want to go somewhere else, learn how to build systems for everything from your diet to your career to your social life, fitness, everything. Talent stacking. The idea that if you're intelligent and add new talents, you become not just a little bit better, but exponentially better, because talents really explode your capability and your options. So this is one of the biggest buttons on the interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. To the interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. Affirmations, the idea of writing down or visualizing your goals, seems to be something that gives you the impression that it works. And I say that very carefully. Does it work? Do affirmations change reality? I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you that when I've used them, the results I've gotten don't seem like anything could have been natural. I cured an incurable voice problem. I had ridiculous stock market luck when I used the affirmations. My career, as I told you, is just crazy. The interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. The interface to reality. It feels like it works, but I'm not going to tell you about it. You see these as filters. If it feels like it works, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. If it feels like it works, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. The interface to reality. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. It feels like it works. The interface to reality. It feels like it works, but I'm not going to tell you about it. You see these as filters.
shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? Those are famous lines. That's sort of Christ the hippie, right? It's like, hey, let it all hang out, do your thing, and everything will come to you. But that's seriously not the proper interpretation, because there's a kicker with this. And the kicker is this. For your heavenly Father knows you have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. O ye of little faith. Shall be added unto you. That's a lot different than the hippie thing. That's a lot different than the hippie thing, right? That's a lot different than the hippie thing. That's a lot different than the hippie thing, right? That's a lot different than the hippie thing. That's a lot different than the hippie thing, right? That's a lot different than the hippie thing. That's a lot different than the hippie thing, right? There's a very, very, very interesting idea here. It's certainly one of the most profound ideas that I've ever encountered. If you configure your life so that what you are genuinely doing is aiming at the highest possible good, then the things that you need to survive and to thrive on a day-to-day basis will deliver themselves to you. If you dare to do the most difficult thing that you can conceptualize, your life will work out better than it will if you do anything else. Well, how are you going to find out if that's true? There's no way you're going to find out whether or not that's true unless you do it. You have to be all in this game. All in this game. All in this game. All in this game. O ye of little faith. O ye of little faith. O ye of little faith. O ye of little faith.
Leaving a confidant, that's just matching someone until they feel comfortable with you, and then you can leave them. And then you can leave them. And then you can leave them. People can be very influenced by aspirations. This is another way to refer to the high ground maneuver. The high ground maneuver is essentially you challenge somebody to be a better version of himself. Sort of the Jesus method, right? You know, it's not telling you you must do something or you'll die. That's fear. Aspiration is, don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the person who sees the big picture? Association. You know that any quality of one thing rubs off on the other. If you want somebody to like something, pair it with something else they like. Alright? So the likability of one thing will rub off on the other, but also the unlikability. So for example, if you have a TV show, let's say the news, and you have commercials that are really unpleasant, eventually the unpleasantness leads into the show, and it would be better if you associated it with things that were positive. So learning to associate only with positive things, one of the most important user interface rules of reality. Of reality. Of reality. Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the person who sees the big picture? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the better version of yourself? Don't you want to be the person who sees the big picture? Very, very important button. Very, very important button. Very, very important button. Very, very important button.
People often ask me, do you believe in God? I don't like that question. First of all, it's an attempt to box me in a sense. And the reason that it's an attempt to box me in is because the question is asked so that I can be firmly placed on one side of a binary argument. The reason I don't like to answer it is because A, I don't like to be boxed in, and B, because I don't know what the person means by believe or God. And they think they know, and the probability that they construe belief and construe God the same way I do is virtually zero. It's a question that doesn't work for me on multiple levels of analysis, but strangely enough, just as we were talking, the answer to that question popped into my head. I act as if God exists. 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 Now you can decide for yourself whether that means that I believe in Him, so to speak. But I act as if He exists. Then with regards to these other issues, the divinity of Christ, I would say the same problems with the question formulation obtained. What do you mean by divine? And also, what do you mean by Christ? These are very, very difficult questions. Now, I believe that the Logos is divine. If by divine we mean of ultimate value, of ultimate transcendent value, yes, it's divine. It's associated with death and rebirth. Clearly, I act as if God exists because the Logos dismantles you and rebuilds you. I act as if God exists. That's what happens when you make an error. When you make an error, some part of you has to go. I act as if God exists. That's a sacrifice. You have to let it go. Sometimes it takes part of you. I act as if God exists. Sometimes it can be such a big part of you that you actually die. Instead of dying and being reborn. Is there something more than merely metaphorical about the idea of dying and being reborn? Yes, there is. Because those are associated with physiological transformation. What's the ultimate extent of that? That's a good question. What happens to the world around you as you increasingly embody the Logos? We don't know. We don't know. I act as if God exists. I act as if God exists. I act as if God exists. as if God exists. The hypothesis is that there has been one or two individuals who managed that, and that in their management of that, they transcended death itself. So what do you mean by transcended death? Well, in the case of Christ, let's assume he was a historical figure. Is his resurrection real?
Doesn't matter.
Well, his spirit lives on. That's certainly the case. And let's imagine that a spirit is a pattern of being. Patterns can be transmitted across multiple substrates. Vinyl, air, vibrations in your ear. It's all the translation of what you might describe as spirit. It's that pattern. It's independent of its material substrate. Christ's spirit lives on. It's had a massive effect across time. Well, is that an answer to the question? Did his body resurrect? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happens to a person if they bring themselves completely into alignment. I've had intimations of what that might mean. We don't understand the world very well. We don't understand how the world could be mastered if it was mastered completely. We don't know how an individual might be able to manage that. We don't know what transformations that might make possible. I act as if God exists. 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 Akira. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. The same problem arises in medicine, because the body is a very complexly interrelated organism. And if you look at the body in a superficial way, you may see there's something wrong with it, and there's spots that is. You might say, well, the spots are there, come on.
Alright.
So you kill the bug.
Thanks for 6 to 8.
Well, then you find you've got a real problem.
Take some more cleaning today.
Introduce some bugs
Take
to
this
kill
off.
bugs, like bringing rabbits into Australia. Now that starts going all over the place. And then you think, well, now wait a minute. It wasn't the bugs in the blood, there were bugs all over the place. What was wrong with this person that his blood system suddenly became vulnerable to those particular bugs? His resistance wasn't up there for what you should have.
It smells very different in here. I tell you what, this mask works. I sprayed a disinfectant / deodorizer in here. Open up all the windows, make sure you have good ventilation.
specialists, bone specialists, nerve specialists, and so on. They each see the human being from their point of view. There are a few generalists, but they realize the human body is so complicated that no one mind can understand it.
Okay, to recap today, I cleaned the roof. I got all the poop out that I could find hanging to the underside of the flanges, also on the actual rafters themselves, whatever they're called, joists, whatever they're called. Anyways, tomorrow, when the temperature hits about 75, I'm going to go ahead and start spraying the insulation foam. I may hang some paper first, or maybe put some plastic down on the floor so that I'm not having to pick up a lot of foam on the floor. That may be something that comes up. Other than that, I think I'll stream again later. So I'm attempting to, I guess I'll live stream all of this video, and at the end I'll cut it up and make it into something progressive and presentable. I'll use the clips that I'm speaking to now to sort of add that kind of dialogue. I don't know if I'll have time to do it or not, but I'd like to try if I can. Anyways, keep checking back with my progress as we go. We'll see how we'll see what the future holds. Lots of things in limbo.